Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. This is some sort of gaming podcast. It's January 19th, 2020. And we got some... Well, actually, I didn't really research anything this week. All I know is that there's like delays happening on top of another delay. And some Nintendo news. I didn't really do much other research other than that. So we might have to wing it throughout the podcast, like researching it during the podcast, unless you guys have something to talk about. But first, how is everybody doing this week, or today, rather? And what you guys been doing this past week?
Let me start out. So nothing. That's about it. No. Reason I say that is because I typically go gaming related, but realistically, this past week has been like ridiculous with respect to work. Like it's been, I think I was back to, so usually when I go to work, I average like 3 hours of sleep a night. But that's kind of like supplemented by the fact that I take the shuttle to and from work. So I get like a 1 or 2 hour nap on the shuttle to work and the shuttle back from work. Like this week, I had the 3 hours without the shuttle. It was like pretty much early mornings and like late nights almost every night. I think half the week, at least probably like at least like 4 out of 5 days I got home after 10 o'clock. After going in, one day was like 2:45, one day was like 3 o'clock, and then the other day I think was like 5 o'clock or something like that. It was like a crazy week at work. We just had a lot of shoots that we had to prep for and then do. So I didn't really get to do much specific to gaming, but I also have a thing where I kind of hate having my entire day be work. So when I come home, I kind of feel like I have to do something. So what I've been actually been watching like a bunch of movies more so than games, just because like, you know, if I get home at 10, I can watch a movie till like 11:30 and then try to like get a little bit of rest. But if I try to stream, then I'm going to be streaming till like 2 o'clock in the morning or something. So I ended up watching Bumblebee, which I thought was pretty trash. Bumblebee, like the Transformers Bumblebee that came out like last year or year before or something like that. But I watched that. I watched Midsommar, which horror film. We had like a whole huge discussion about it on like Discord and stuff like that. I wasn't really a fan, but I kind of knew that was going to happen going in. Ended up watching Bad Boys for Life yesterday, which is actually it was a pretty good movie. I enjoyed it a lot. Yeah, like a couple more. It was like one animated Netflix one that I watched that I'm like forgetting the name of, but it was actually kind of weird, but not really that great. But yeah, overall, that was kind of all I did. Gaming wise, because it's so convenient, I ended up playing this game called Goku Saga, which is, if you guys remember, again in Discord when we were talking about was it Destiny Child? Is that the name of it?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that game that I brought up when I was trying to figure out if that was kind of like what you guys were describing Destiny Child was, it's just like a Dragonball game. Actually, played another game kind of similar where you just put together a team of like 5 characters in the Dragon Ball universe, and you kind of like level them up. It's kind of RPG style, go through, increase stats, like change gear, that kind of thing, and you know, just keep doing like little simple battles that happen in about 35 seconds or so. But it's like, it was just a little fun, entertaining game to play when I had some free time. But unfortunately, that was like all the gaming that I got to do.
Just mobile gaming?
Yeah. It's mobile gaming. I'm like a true hardcore gamer now. But yeah, that was about it. Pretty uneventful week, unfortunately. At least this week it'll be it'll be a lot less busy with respect to work, so I'll be able to get some more actual gaming back in. What about you guys?
Well, my week has just been Monster Hunter and Final Fantasy VII, and today actually shook it up a little bit because LadyInfamous and I played Bloodborne, and I forgot, like, I knew how good of a game it felt like to play, but just going back to it, it just reminded me of just how good it is to play that game, and it was so much fun.
How
but
many people did you guys end up playing with?
it was 3 of us.
Okay.
And but we did Canehurst Castle, and
Is
and
that the
then
name of the place in Bloodborne?
yeah, and then because I'm on New Game Plus and not at the end of the game, uh, the 3 of us did some grinding out and a boss battle in my New Game Plus playthrough, and because they're under leveled and on their first playthrough, for them it was a little bit hard, but it's still like they're able to gain levels and shit like that. There goes my phone. And so it was good
Are
because
you saying there are a bunch of noobs? Is that what you're saying?
no, it's not it. It's just that from where actually they're at the end of the game, and actually, Lady Infamous is underleveled, so it's more like that they're pretty good at the game and to getting through, because they're not ready to beat the game or the DLC yet. So Lady Infamous, I helped her just with my playthrough get her a bunch of levels today, but I have to go through on my own time to run through the game really quick. I'm at the end of it, so it's not going to be that much of a problem. And that's not much really. I also finished The Witcher on Netflix, and it was just enjoyable. I thought it was more like that it was just enjoyable, not spectacular or great. It's just because I have a history with The Witcher, it was just fun to watch, and putting everything together, all the information that I know. I mean, that's pretty much my week. I didn't really get much into Monster Hunter, as much as I wanted to play it, because now I'm on the grind for weapons, for like different types of weapons in several trees. So it's kind of like going through the same monsters over and over again and trying to optimize my playthrough with it. And Final Fantasy VII, we got to almost the end of disc 1. And I'm on my own time grinding out everybody's limit breaks. The last thing we did was we got to Wutai Village, and I forgot also, because it's been so long since I've played that game, how good the Wutai Village theme song was, and I just kind of nerded out on that one for like an hour last night. And what else? Last thing is like because I watch this one guy's stream, and he plays like a lot of really good Super Nintendo era, PS1 era, and Game Boy Advance music tracks on his streams, and they're all like really good tracks. And I made it a point to myself to for the next couple of weeks gather a good chunk of songs and music to put in a playlist for my streams, because I miss that era. I miss that era of music. So that's my week. What about yours, Lady Infamous?
Oh, my week. I really didn't do much gaming because I've been stuck on South Park all week. All week. Like, I might play a little bit of, like, I had fun playing Bloodborne today. And it was, you know what? It is so much fun when you play with a whole squad. It's not as stressful as it normally is when you're playing by yourself. So it's always fun to play Bloodborne. Played a little bit of Call of Duty just to like a stress reliever, like, just takes the edges off the day. But most of the week it was the Stick of Truth. I finally beat it. Was it Friday or Thursday? I want to say Thursday night. No, Friday morning. I had to be, no. I am so lying. It was Saturday after Grown Woman Gaming. I beat, I did the last part, and it was longer than I thought it would be. And I didn't know that Princess Kenny was going to try me at the end. Oh my gosh.
Typical South Park.
Yeah. I'm like, it felt good to beat the game. I had a little bit of issues with the Nintendo Switch being docked up because it was staticky. Like I heard a lot of static on my headphones and during the game, and I thought that it was like something within the video game that's trying to distract me from winning, but actuality is something with the dock. I had to, like, if I lift it up, then I put it back down, it was fine. But I was at the last boss battle of the game in zombie Princess Kenny form, the last form. So it was either risk like losing my progress just to make sure my sound was okay, or just stick out through the static in your ears for like 17 minutes. So I took the decision on myself. I told the chat, I was like, look, I'm sorry, I gotta finish this game. It's gonna be staticky. If you with me, you with me. If you ain't, that's cool, I understand. So throughout the static in my headphones, I beat the game, and it was a good RPG. I didn't beat Al Gore, which was messed up. I didn't 100% it, but I did enjoy my experience.
You let him be president?
No. What else? I think other than that, it was pretty all right. It was pretty all right.
Just all right?
It was just all right. Wow. That'll be a good description of my week. That's it.
Oh, I thought you meant South Park was all right. You mean
No,
the week was all right?
Both. They're both was all right. I really enjoyed South Park. Don't get me wrong. I mean, those jokes were like, I knew like when I was live streaming and I was doing the face cam and some of those dirty ass jokes came through, my cheeks was so red. And I'm like, oh my God, they're really going to do it. Like there's a level in the game that you fight with the gnomes, the underwear gnomes. And the boss battle is with
I remember.
Yeah. So that boss battle was interesting. Also, I'm trying to set up some food adventures, but by the looks of the score of the NFC championship game, I think my Niners are about to go to the Super Bowl. So I have to make some nachos. So I can't wait to see what kind of nachos do I make. Do I make my usual steaks? Do I do something different? Something like that. That's my week.
I got a question too.
Yeah.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say something else about my week, but you asked your question.
Oh yeah. So how'd you like the balls and sex scene? It's a stick of truth with your parents.
That's gross from the game perspective. So yeah, I don't want that. I don't want those type of balls dragged across my face personally. So no.
Those hairy balls.
Yeah, and then the first time I did it, it was like QTE, and that was like one of my issues with the game. It was like some of the QTEs, I was like, it took me 20 minutes to do because like the abortion mission, oh my God, I couldn't do an abortion to save my life. But and some of the dragon shouts farts, those were difficult for me as well. But yeah, man, not those nuts. No. Not those nuts.
So there's a difficulty setting on the Stick of Truth. I totally forget, right?
No, I'm not sure. I just played it straight on. So if I was told that if you picked the black kid that it was harder. I don't think it was.
No,
I think what it is you like after you beat the game, you can play a harder mode where they force your character to be black. I don't think it's like literally if you just pick a black kid, it makes the game harder.
No, I don't think it's in Stick of Truth. I think it's in the Fractured Butthole where they put in a joke that if you make your character black, the game is harder for you. Like that's the joke. I don't remember that in Stick of Truth.
Okay, well I borrowed a Chief's copy of the Fractured Butthole, so we'll figure it. We'll see it. I don't care if it gets harder. It's gonna be black. It's gonna be it's gonna be something like me. Yeah.
No,
or it's just a joke.
It's just a joke.
Oh, I thought it was for real.
Oh, they actually, I
Because
thought
no,
that was a
you're
hard mode. Okay.
no, you're creating your character and your character's life. It's like, oh, if you're white, so it's really easy for you, life's easy for you, or if you're black, life's harder for you. That's the joke.
Oh, yeah, that's kind of true. Though.
Yeah.
Okay.
I was gonna mention like those QTEs. I was watching you fight Kenny, and yeah, it's a common thing. You're really slow on those, like mashing the buttons.
Oh yeah, when the princess, you know, I'm not good at mashing buttons. You should know that by now. I mean,
Especially when we saw that at, what do you call it?
Man of a Don.
Man of the Dawn.
And you were like, and, like,
why you guys on some 2019 shit? I thought that was better than that. Yes, I have trouble matching the buttons, but thank God I was a thief, level 15 thief, because all I did during the game was like take something out their pockets and then go spend it on consumables and power potions. I rarely ran out of potions. Like all the potions, I had it all. So, and my favorite companion was Butters in the game as well. I just loved Butters. So optimistic.
Man, I'm surprised you didn't choose Jew as your class.
No, I asked my chat when I played. I asked my chat what did they wanted to. They picked for me, so they picked a thief. That was the first thing they chose, so I took it. So I was a thief. I was taking everything. I had like $250, $300, and potions, all full. I was happy.
What, like the richest 9-year-old in America? $300 in your pocket?
It could have been a pizza party after the game was over. It could have been the outro. Could have been the new kid buy everybody pizza. How much money I had, and that was it.
All right, cool. Yeah, my week was uneventful too. It seems like all of us had like a pretty uneventful week this past week. So for me, I actually spent time doing like, so for me, you know how I said I started started doing a water fast, and that lasted for like 5 days. How
did it go for you?
Oh my God, it felt terrible for like 3 days. And then by the fourth day, it wasn't so bad. Like you can actually start I started getting used to it. And then like, you can feel like the all the bad shit like coming out of you, like spiritually. It just felt that way. I don't know how to describe it, but it felt like all the bad spirits like leaving your body kind of feeling.
You felt purged or something?
Yeah, something like that.
Flushing your body out.
Yeah, like externally, not through your bowels or anything like that.
Oh, all right.
Like through your skin. That's what it felt like.
Hmm.
Well, anyways, and then now, starting yesterday, I'm starting to do a keto diet
Okay.
Cool.
for the next 8 weeks.
Don't you gotta like tone down the carbs on the keto though?
Yep, exactly.
I love carbs. Oh my god.
Yep, it's mostly all fat and protein.
You're like one of the very few people, LadyInfamous, that I've ever heard that. Like, oh man, I love carbs. I just love them.
do.
Everybody is always like, fuck, man, just carbs. It's just all carbs. Ugh.
It's
Like,
always in moderations when it comes to carbs.
Yeah.
And like I'm scarfing carbs all day, every day. I at least try to have a balance. I'm trying to eat more greens. That's my thing. I'm trying to eat more greens.
you better look up like vegan diets then. Like,
What?
well, I'm saying more like, like once a day, like see about making like a vegan meal or vegetarian at the very least. Because if you want to like eat a lot of greens, like that's the surefire way to like, of course, one meal a day that's like pure veggies and fruits. So like, I don't know. I did that like a few years ago, more than a few years actually. Where I made it a point that at least like once a day to have some sort of like veggie or vegan sort of like alternative diet or for like a meal, and I just felt really good about it. Like I was able to eat well, and I felt better after it, because otherwise if I don't make it a point, I just feel so slow and groggy. I'm just like, I don't want to do anything now. So I feel better after I eat a meal like that.
Yeah. I mean, for me, like that's how I transitioned into become, pescatarian, right?
Yeah.
Like I started off like cutting out certain type of meat like completely, and then like went that, and then like started slowly cutting out other types of meat as time went on. Kind of like that. Like first I was like, okay, on Sunday I'm never gonna eat this type of meat and stuff like that. But anyways. And then started increasing my vegetable intake on that specific day. But anyways, when it comes to like, I know this is completely off the gaming topics right now.
No, it's a health
anyways,
podcast, like that's what we're doing.
Anyways, so and then I how I started running like several weeks ago, and not, like they gave me like. This Couch to 4K app just made me run like 25 minutes nonstop, and I was able to actually do it like nonstop for 20 minutes of jogging, and I was like, oh wow, I have endurance now, especially with all these hills. So there's that. So I actually physically feel really good, and like mentally, like I'm starting to like for some reason that a lot of weight has been lifted off my mental burden, I guess. So that really helped out. So not only that, like I also kind of vlogged the entire process of me doing the whole water fasting too. So I might compile all that together and make it into a single video. Other than that, when it comes to video games, I started playing Bloodborne. I mean, not Bloodborne, freaking Bloodstain. And I will say, yeah, it's a very good game. Except there was a time where I was like saying, God, where the hell am I supposed to go? Because I spent like 2 hours just trying to figure out where I was supposed to go on a not very big map. Relative to where I'm at now, I actually had to like look it up. I was like, where the hell am I supposed to go?
Well, that's a Castlevania game for you.
Yeah. And then I was like saying, damn it, I was there like 10 times and I just couldn't figure out what I was supposed to do. There was like this one area where I had to like just use the right stick and just point it somewhere, because it's like this, you raise your hand when you use the right stick. And then basically, it does like object move. It automatically moves objects for you when you use the right stick. So,
yeah, it automatically moves objects for you.
On certain backgrounds and certain doodads, like it allows you to move objects.
Okay.
Yeah, and then based on my understanding, I am a little bit over halfway done with the game.
Already?
I assumed that was gonna be like Metroid kind of, so it'd be kind of big, or Castlevania, so it'd be kind of big.
Yeah, I mean, apparently it's not that big. I looked up IG, like when I was looking up where like when I was stuck, and I looked up IGN's wiki for walkthrough, and I was like, oh, I'm very close to being halfway through, and then like eventually I start, and then where I'm at now, I know I'm over halfway done. Yeah, but I'm at this boss where I died like 3 times trying to beat it, so I have to like try to figure out how to like buff my character up, because there is a leveling system, and you can level up your gears too. So that's what I'm trying to do. Oh, and there's like all these side quests where you just have to like use alchemy and then turn those things into certain people, or like you have to or it's one of those fetch quests, like kill certain monsters and let them drop certain things and then turn those in. Yeah, it's one of those types of optional quests that I was trying to do too.
Yeah.
But other than that,
does it have a good story?
Does it have a good story? I mean, I feel like it's not very story focused. I feel like it's more gameplay and art focused.
Okay.
Yeah, and I think that's the expectation you should be going in playing that game is like, don't expect like the Witcher story or Grand Theft Auto story.
Or
level.
Castlevania story.
I guess you can say it's like a little bit less than Castlevania story. I mean, the story is there, and then it has to be an integral part of the game. But I wouldn't say like, oh, it's like you should go in there expecting like a super deep story.
Okay.
Yeah. But it's not a bad story. I wouldn't call it a good story either, but it's not a bad story.
It's
like
kind
it's
of
not
like
like,
a
oh
typical
god, I
Fight
want to
Evil.
skip through this, right? It's not. It's nothing like that.
Okay.
Other than that, that's all I really did. And I mean, other than like, did my mobile gaming too, because I was out most of the time.
Was it the same Final Fantasy game?
Yeah, I mean, I've been playing that what do you call it, Brave Exvius since the very first day when it first came out. So yeah.
Well, I got a couple things to tag on to that. Or because you were mentioning like exercise and health. So last week I mentioned that I did a sponsor stream for Until You Fall. I learned that one of the devs was in my chat and like telling me a whole bunch of like hints and like what I should do and stuff like that. And that was pretty cool. I joined their Discord. However, what I did one day this week, because I really wanted to go back into it and I just didn't have time, and I eventually just said fuck it, like I'll put the VR on for like an hour and like try to go through the levels as fast as I can, and that was the workout right there. Like, because I'm fighting shit all around me, and because it's the controls and the
What were you
blocking
playing?
Until You Fall.
Oh, okay.
Which is a like a medieval swords and magic and stuff, like type of fighting, and you block with both of your weapons, one or both of your weapons, but like you have to also like move out of the way from swings. So trying to get through these levels as fast as possible is it's a real challenge, and it's a real workout. So because I'm having so much fun with it, that's gonna be like a part of what I'm doing to to work out and like aerobic shit. And because before I was just doing a little bit of Beat Saber here and there, but like it somehow, like, it doesn't really add as much as Until You Fall. Like I guess it's adding to reactions and looking all around me and turning around. So it's hitting a little bit more reflexes than Beat Saber. And that's it. That's all I was going to mention.
More body movement than Beat Saber?
Oh god, yes. Yeah, it requires more body movement, because like for the first like I think 3 or 4 levels, like this is a roguelite, so like you start at the very beginning when you die. So like after the 3rd level, I think it was, you fight against a guy with a huge hammer and a shield, and he's the first guy that you fight where you actually have to dodge. You can't block his attacks. So there's a overhead, there's a left and a right swing, or a left and a right dodge. So like once I hit, I think it was level 9 or 11 or something like that, the swings came out faster. So I'm just like moving all over the place, like just get the fuck away from me. It was really cool. And it was like using body movement and twists and turns in my body that I don't actually ever use. So it was more of a stretch and a workout than I thought I was going to get. And I was sweating hard after that.
Do you think you could go 8 hours doing that?
Oh God, no. I went 3 hours the first time I played it, and like that's when I was like, I gotta sit down. But if I have to play this more, if I want to try to get through it as fast as possible, if I want to like play it in that type of way for 3 hours straight. But maybe I could do 8 hours one of these days. I want to make it a point where I can do a full stream of that game, of like 5 to 7 hours of that game. I think it'd be really cool.
Yeah, I think probably 8 hour stream of VR once. I don't know about the game you were playing because I've never played it, but just VR in general, doing that for that long is rough. Like
Yeah.
one of the games I was playing was you remember that the DJ game that I played like a long time ago? I don't know if you remember that. Like you're a DJ and you have to like keep switching tracks and get all the people in the audience involved and stuff like that.
Oh,
And it
yeah,
was
yeah.
like, yeah, so that didn't even require that much movement, but just the fact that like you're just moving all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you try to do that long term, you'd probably be like literally sweating by the
Yeah.
time you were done.
I thought Konami made like Benami for VR.
Konami
I was
made
like,
what?
really?
You said Konami made what?
Like, I thought when you said DJ, like in VR, I was like saying, wait, Konami made a Bemani for VR?
Bin Lani? I've never heard
No,
of
I was
this.
gonna say, I don't know that game. What game
Bimani.
is that?
Bamani. I don't know. I don't know about that
It's
one.
like, their version of like, they have like over 5 dozen versions of that game in arcades and like in arcades.
Okay, I
How
don't
do
think
you
I've ever
spell
heard of
that?
Hmm?
How do you spell that?
Bemani.
Okay.
Is it like a DJ Hero type of thing, or is it like?
Kind of, yeah. It has like piano keys and stuff like that, or it's like like an 8-key piano and stuff like that.
Okay. But yeah, VR in general. I think when I did it, I played that game. I played Gorn, Rec Room. There's at least like 5 or 6 things. It's just like that. It wears you out. In a way, I kind of want to like. I still wish that they had more VR experiences that I really wanted to play because I kind of want to like actually go and get a Valve Index to use almost as like again as a fitness type of thing because it's just at least you get like a little bit of workout with your fun. But
Yeah.
I just don't know
we
if
all
I've seen
should
the
get?
experiences yet.
Since we all have Switches.
No,
Wait.
what?
Wait, does Zeldrick have a Switch?
I don't have one.
No.
Are you talking
Oh.
about Ring Fit Adventure?
Yeah,
Oh, I was gonna try
Adventure,
it.
dude.
I honestly was gonna try it, but that thing costs like $80.
I
I'm
know,
like,
me
why
too.
is it so
I was like
expensive?
looking at it. I was like, damn, I want to get this.
I've watched an entire playthrough of that, like several weeks of someone's stream of doing that. It looks like a lot of fun, and like that it totally works you out. I think Unsheathed Productions, like it's a good investment, even though it's $80. Like,
Yeah, I know.
if you keep
I figured.
it,
I mean, if it's something where you can play it and like actually get a workout, like that'd be a way to kind of squeeze a workout into.
yeah,
Then obviously it'd be worth it. But it's just like the cheap person in me is like everything else costs like $59.99, and all you give me is this little extra wheel thing. Like, why is it like $80? So I don't know. Do you guys know? Does that wheel thing it comes with like? Does it do anything, or is it just kind of like
Yes.
something?
It's a resistance band, and
Oh, it is. Okay.
yeah,
All right.
and
That
what do you
makes
call
sense.
it? I think it recognizes if you're pushing in and stretching it out.
yes,
Ah,
it does.
cool.
Well, if I'm telling you, like this game that I've been playing, Until You Fall, like that one would actually give you a workout if you're playing it just like how I am. Even if you don't play it like as fast as you can and trying to beat those levels, like just swinging around and fighting, like from Gorn, like it is a workout.
Yeah, totally. Oh, actually, real quick, just to spawn off of that before we jump off of VR. Did you ever get a chance to try? There was like a new VR game that was the letter B is coming to mind for some reason. That was supposed to be kind of like a way more accurate and kind of a little bit more realistic version
Boneworks.
of. Is that it? Is it Boneworks?
Yeah, it's called Bonework. I remember us talking about this a while ago.
Yeah. Did you try it?
I haven't bought it yet.
Okay.
But I did watch a little bit of it, and it's like I think there's like a practice level in it so far. No, well, the whole thing's out. Never mind. I don't know what's in it besides like whatever the first level is. But yeah, like the realistic physics and stuff like that. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I haven't gotten that yet. Not yet.
I just remember watching the Corridor Digital dudes. Like, I think they played it a long time ago, and it just based on the amount of movement you do in there, I bet you that one would be kind of similar, where like it would give you like a crazy workout. At least if you're trying to be creative with what you do.
Yeah.
You just kind of stand there and like slowly swing. I'm sure it's not a workout, but it seems like there's so much you can do in there that you probably could burn a couple calories.
Yeah. The one thing though is I'm with the movement, because most of the movement I've seen in it is like walking movement, running, or like sliding and jumping and stuff. Less so of like teleporting. Like that would really hit like the motion sickness hard. That's one thing. That's one thing I'm worried about. And because this is my VR game I've been playing is Until You Fall. Like, I realize like because that type of movement of not you can teleport, but like the walking movement, they combat that by doing a vignette on wherever you're looking, and they cut out the outside of this
just
circular
like restricting
area.
your field of view.
Yeah, it's restricting the field of view, and it works. I didn't know that was going to help at all, but like I went into the settings and it's just like, oh no, just leave this on if you don't know about this setting, and because it's supposed to help. I'm like, okay, and I was able to walk in that game and not feel like weird and just motion sick from walking forward instead of like, you know, how like anything else with VR. So I hope that type of thing is in Boneworks, because I really want to try this out.
Cool.
All right, cool. I guess that's it for what we did this week. So let's bring out some positive news before we get into the bad one, or the I don't know. Would it be a sad news? I can't really tell.
Not really.
I don't really think so. Part of it is bad news, but
we'll just say it's disappointing.
I don't even think
but it's not bad or sad news. Like, that's fine. Go ahead.
Yeah. So one thing that I'm pretty sure most of us kind of expected this to happen eventually is Nintendo's theme park.
I'm a grown ass woman. What about going to a Nintendo theme park?
I'm a grown ass man. I'm pretty excited for this.
I was gonna say I'm not excited, but I will guarantee you that if I get a chance to, I'm going.
I want to go. Like
you guys are a bunch of
nerds, you see all those actual blocks that you can actually hit and coins actually coming out, and you step on the big ass P and all these coins start popping out everywhere. I want that experience.
I'm sure that's what happens.
Yeah, I mean, like, to me, I don't know, Lady Fizz, do you not like theme parks?
I do like theme parks, but a Nintendo theme park?
Yeah, I mean, it's a theme park that the theme of it is something that you kind of grew up knowing and loving. I mean, I'm not saying like you're gonna want to go to it like every couple of months or something like that. I want to at least see it once though. Like I went to Harry Potter World.
Oh, I'm jealous.
Yeah, it's the same thing.
You want to go to Harry Potter World, but not Nintendo theme park.
Cause I want to go get a wand.
You can buy that on eBay.
You can buy that on anywhere. You'd be fine.
Oh wow! I want to try butterbeer. I want to.
So I got a wand. I don't know if I'm surprised you.
Yeah, I can go outside right now and go pick up a branch, and there's my wand.
Oh wow!
No, but I got a wand from Harry Potter World, and it was like, I think it was $100 for the wand.
It was a piece of stick.
My girlfriend at the time like bought one for me because like she was just like she's all into it, and she was like, "Oh, don't you want one?" I'm like, "No, not really. It's gonna sit on my on my shelf and do absolutely nothing." I think that was like 8 years ago, and it has sat on my shelf and done absolutely nothing for 8 years. Butterbeer is fantastic, though. I'm just gonna say that stuff is delicious.
That's what I'm trying to hit up. I don't mind. I wouldn't mind going to look. I don't mind going to a theme park. If the homies go, I'll go to support the homie. I don't know if
It's
I'm
in
gonna have fun.
That's why I said if you get a chance to go,
Yeah.
that's a trip.
Oh, okay.
Not only that, it's in Kansai too, in Osaka, Universal Studios.
Yeah.
Okay, that'll be something off the list to do.
Oh, dude, can you imagine the line that's gonna be at that place when it opens?
Good. I'm good. That's in Japan.
Jesus.
In Japan, you really gonna wait in that line, Sharpie?
Not if your trip is to. Well, Sharpie's been to Japan. Like,
Yeah.
you've been there a bunch, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
So it ain't nothing new to him.
yeah.
Yeah,
You
I
probably
mean,
waste
Osaka's
like a bunch of your
like
time.
LA.
Yeah. My main thing though would be like, I think obviously you go there and it'd be cool to kind of just look around and see the sights and stuff like that. My main thing would be just like if they, which I like pretty much guarantee you they do. I don't know that much about what's supposed to be at the theme park, but if they had a Mario Kart like area, that obviously would be fun.
Yeah.
I'm just curious how they would do like if they did, if they made like kind of a experience that's supposed to resemble the game where you somehow can attack each other and stuff like that. That would make it really cool. I don't know. When is it supposed to open?
I don't know. Based on this video, it looks like it's open now because there's a lot of people running through this place, stomping on Goombas and stuff.
Oh, you think it's open now?
I don't know. This video looks like it is or if it just makes it look like
It might
is
be a
because-
preview thing because like I don't know. I see something from 5 days ago saying that it's too open in Japan.
Mhm.
Oh wait, is it? Yeah, it's too open in Japan. So maybe they had like a preview event or something like that where like, closed doors only for certain people type of thing, and then they videotape stuff. But I don't think it's like open to the public yet.
I'm surprised it's Universal that's taking reign on this.
I mean, I don't know.
I don't know how much of a surprise that is, because Universal Studios, like the theme park.
Yeah, I was like, I don't really know that many other like companies that'll be like, let's make a theme park.
Well, I mean, in
Unless
Japan, there's
Nintendo
like
paid for it
there's a bunch of theme parks in Japan where you just all independent.
I'm like watching some stuff from what looks like it was it looks like it was some kind of press conference type of thing or presentation thing about this about the theme park. And I'm like, why do they always have to have a bunch of people dressed up in some costume that's relevant to the content dancing? I don't know why that is like a thing every time. It's like people just in their little toadstool hats, like in Mario suits, just like swinging their arms around in the air and dancing in circles and stuff. And I'm like, I don't know why it's a thing all the time.
It's to
Dude,
create hype.
Do you know how many people are gonna hurt their hands on these freaking like coin blocks?
Because they have to punch it every time.
Dude, somebody's you're gonna have to sign a waiver before you go in there. Somebody's
It's
gonna hurt their
Japan.
hand for real.
They don't have those type of things. You can film people and without having to sign.
But I
too
mean,
many
like, could
waivers.
you? I don't know how reasonable it is to be like, I'm gonna sue, because I injured myself at your theme park.
Oh,
Is that like
you'll
not a thing in
you'll
Japan?
guarantee win if you do that.
Oh,
As
they
you
just
know,
don't care?
conviction rate. If you get sued in Japan, you have like a 1% chance of actually winning that lawsuit.
Oh, so why wouldn't people just go and then like quote unquote hurt themselves and then sue?
Yeah, I mean, technically you can, but that's not like the Japanese way. The Japanese way is
that's
to
the
be
American
honest.
way, though. They better close it to us.
Yeah, exactly.
That's gonna be pretty. I think it's gonna be pretty badass, though. Let's see.
I mean, just recently there was a guy who worked at Nissan who, the guy who turned Nissan around that escaped Japan.
You say he escaped to Japan?
No, he escaped from Japan because he got arrested for using company money for personal purposes.
Oh, and he just came here from Japan?
No, he escaped to Brazil because he's Brazilian. Yeah,
Got you.
Mm.
yeah, that was big news. Well, anyways,
I remember hearing about it.
yeah. Well, I mean, it was big news in Japan, but anyways, now for the more depressing / kind of okay news.
Why have to be so negative or depressing? What is the news of what?
That's why I was
It's
like
Final Fantasy
disappointed.
7 and Cyberpunk 2077. Damn, 3 sevens, and it's considered delayed news.
It's not so
Well,
lucky anymore.
It's not a bad thing for a game to be delayed.
No, it's not. Like everybody's been waiting so long for Final Fantasy VII Remake and not as long for Cyberpunk, but I think I don't really see like, Final Fantasy VII being pushed back 1 month. Like like about 30 days, like that's not really big. So, but the fact that like they're saying, "Oh, let's take them another month to polish up everything," like, yeah, go for it. That's fine. However, like on the flip side of it, with Cyberpunk 2077, it's an extra 6 months to do QA, and that's what the report
And it's
was.
crunched QA.
That is the bigger news here. Like, yeah, we can talk about like games being delayed. However, CD Projekt Red is crunching their workers. They openly stated, the president stated that they are crunching their workers, putting them in overtime for 6 more months. I'm saying 6 more months because I'm pretty sure that before this they were already on crunch. So I'm going to just put it out there like 6 more months of crunch. And that's shitty because I learned about this when this sort of pushback came out, or the delay came out, that The Witcher 3 was on crunch for a long time. And those workers were fucking, they were driven to the bone to like with overtime and just on that big, huge crunch to put The Witcher 3 out. And I'm surprised I don't remember this at all, but it's shitty. And it's another example of that game devs need to be unionized. I know that this is a different country that we're dealing with, but still, it still goes, the same thing still comes out that like, the game devs just all over need to be unionized.
Yeah,
this is shitty.
I totally agree. It needs to be more unionized. It's for also work security too.
Right. Because and the other tweet that was going out was a guy from Rockstar saying that GTA 5 was pushed back 3 times, and I think that was, I don't know if it was 6 months each time that it was pushed back. I may be wrong on this. However, it was pushed back 3 times, and every time it was pushed back, they were all on crunch, which is shitty. Like, and to be working on GTA 5 on like massive games, and yes, like any sort of game can be like on crunch, and that's shitty. However, like I guess I'm gonna stick to my numbers, like 6 months each time. That's 18 months of crunch, and that's hell. And it's something needs to be done. Like,
yeah, I feel like
wasn't
I
there
feel
like a
based
union
on
already? But like, or is it just like a support group that's there? I thought there was already a union for game devs.
No, there is none.
There isn't? Okay,
No.
then there's. I'm thinking of something else. Then.
I watched a documentary about this too.
Okay.
Yeah, or not about this specific case, but I'm just talking about like the gaming industry and like trying to unionize it.
Right.
Yeah, I mean they're in the process, but it's in a very early process, and then this was a few years ago too, and then it doesn't seem like it has moved anywhere.
Yeah. And something that like when it comes to this sort of thing, and there's a huge blow up that I've seen of people being like, oh, like why is it taking so much longer? Why are you doing this much? Or why is it being pushed back this much? Or I'm just gonna not reserve my copy anymore, fucking whatever. Or like, or just people that don't care. And I believe what would happen, and all this is something that needs to be on everybody's like head as we move forward with like game industries, as like jobs and everything, and to unionize. This means that game development is going to take longer. So imagine like with Final Fantasy, well, I'll just say like with Cyberpunk, since we have a number for it, a better or a longer number for it, not just 1 month. Like, say that with the development of Cyberpunk 2077, if developers were unionized, like, it would take a lot longer, but also, correct me or if I'm wrong, or like give me a better number, but I would think that this game would take another 1.5 years if this game was pushed back and it was delayed. Instead of the 6 months, it might be like another year or 1.5 years. Am I wrong about that?
Significantly longer.
Yeah. I don't know about
maybe.
like, yeah,
Because I mean, it's crunch for a reason, right?
yeah, it's crunch for a reason, and everybody's on overtime, also working weekends.
Yeah. Well, not only that, I don't know if CD Projekt Red is considered, a public company in Poland, or if they're, a private company in Poland. But if they are a private company, they have to also bow down to to like their VCs, right?
What's their VC? What do you mean VC?
Venture capitalists.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and then they have expectations on, when things should be coming out and what the return should be and stuff like that too.
Well, I'm not sure about any sort of venture capitalists or investments into this company or whatever. However, I do know that they are their own company and that they don't have like a publisher. Like, they are their own company. So I don't know if that says anything to you.
I mean, that doesn't change the fact that there could be a public company or not.
Gotcha. Okay.
I mean, Square is or even Microsoft is a public company, and they have deadlines. They have to bow down to the people who've invested in them, right? Like,
right.
including retail traders like you and me.
Mm-hmm. So that's a bit of information that I want to put out, because like, that's the one thing that I've never heard from, like, the unionization of game developers, and like when things get pushed back and stuff like that, and these unfair work conditions. Like, I'm fine for it, because like, yes, that's fine that your game is going to take longer, just as long as your workers are not, given 80-hour work weeks and they like have to sleep at work. Like, I don't want that. It's unhealthy. And no extra pay. Like, that can be a thing too. So it's more like we need to be okay with this, because we need to think about like the people that are working on this. So
the thing with me is, I don't think with Cyberpunk 2077 with that one, they are doing crunch time, but I don't think it's like mandatory. But they really need like people on board to get this game out and going. September is a long way to go, so I hope that game becomes ridiculously perfect. That game better be damn near perfect for it to be delayed that long. With Final Fantasy 7, it's not that long. People crying over spilled milk when it's a month delay. It's not that bad. It really isn't.
Well, not only that March was a time when there's like a dozen games coming out at the same time. So that's why I said, is this a good news or is this bad news? I can't really tell.
Well,
you're gonna buy the game anyway, so what's the problem?
What I will say, LadyInfamous, is that the crunch time is not optional. Like, they have to be, and it's kind of like they don't have a choice about it.
Yeah, if you work in software, that like I worked in software. I'm pretty sure T worked. Well, I know T worked in software too, and Zeldrick, I think you're about to be working in software.
I'm studying computer science.
Yeah, so you're getting into that industry. So like you'll start seeing, like, if you actually work for a company that does work in software, like you or even hardware, I don't know too much about hardware companies, but like in software, like you see it happen. Like I've experienced it myself. Like I had to deal with customers. So
Yeah, like in terms of when I was doing it, like realistically, you kind of have to, specifically because I don't know if this is how CD Projekt Red works, but it's because they're like salaried employees. That's what we were, salaried employees. So theoretically, the idea is like you're supposed to work until the job is done because you get paid like a set amount regardless, essentially, of how many hours you work.
Right.
So like at the same time, I mean, again, I don't know what their scenario is, but they could have like maybe their regular schedule is like 6.5 hours a day or 7 hours a day, and then they hit crunch time, and then it gets to be like 12 hours a day or something like that. I don't know. That part definitely sucks, but at the same time, like it's kind of one of those things where it's like you don't sign up for crunch time, but you do sign up for the idea that like you're gonna do what it takes to get the job done. It kind of sucks. That's why I wasn't really a huge fan of being salaried to begin with. But like I don't know, it kind of fit to me. It just sounds like it's kind of part of the job.
yeah, it also kind of sucks because when we were kids, like video games were like 8 to 12 people jobs, and then eventually became like 1,000 people jobs or tens of thousands of people jobs.
Tens
And-
of thousands on one game.
Yeah, I mean, if you roll the credits on most AAA titles, like you see like thousands of names on there.
You said tens of thousands, so I just
Tens of thousands. Yeah.
That's a little stretch, is it?
Well, maybe not like
I was gonna say
20,000.
maybe not 10,000, yeah, but yeah, thousand. You could be thousands because you have like multiple companies working on things and stuff like that.
Yeah, and then localizations.
Yeah,
And
and
different
I don't think that
countries.
came across anybody's mind when they're as they were graduating high school.
I mean, like
our age.
realistically, that could have literally been how it has been from the beginning. Because I imagine if you have smaller teams, it probably was worse.
I mean, if you looked at like games like the original Mega Man or like up to like Mega Man X, it's probably like not even like probably at most 100 people working on that game.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I think that's what their expectation was when they were, graduating high school or something. And now it's like like getting into it, it's like, oh, it's a whole different world
Well, yeah,
of game development.
That's becoming an adult. You always think things are like way like simpler and easier than they are in real life.
Yeah. But as like technology moves forward and all of our media moves forward, like we need bigger teams and we need different technologies and stuff like that. So like,
Which is prone to be more goes into a more more problems can occur in software.
Yeah,
Right.
of course. I think the best reaction that I saw to this story was for Cyberpunk was, okay, now I have more time to build my new computer. Thanks.
I think that's actually something I want to point on because like that's one of the reasons. I mean, computer specs. That's the reason why I was thinking like it's got to be pushed back because we're in January and we still haven't gotten the spec requirements for the PC version. That's like that's dangerously close. Like usually it's more time than that. I thought like at most 6 months, but 3 months until the release date. No, not really. Like I kind of saw this coming. The Final Fantasy VII remake, I actually didn't really see it coming. Not because of the same reason, but I just because it's already been so long, huh?
But were you surprised?
About
You didn't see it coming, but were you surprised when you heard? I wasn't that surprised.
with Cyberpunk? No, I was not surprised.
I mean, even with Final Fantasy, I don't think I was that surprised.
Final Fantasy VII remake. I guess it's just because it was 1 month. I wasn't phased about it at all. I was just like, oh, it was pushed back 1 month. Okay, whatever.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
Part of me has like this conspiracy thought of like maybe they had this whole thing planned that it was going to be coming out in April or September, Like, and then they just said like, "Oh, we are gonna release this on March."
What
but then
would
the
the benefit
whole
of that be?
time
You-
behind the scenes, it was like the whole time it was designed to come out on April.
You
or
and your
September.
damn conspiracies. Like,
Yeah, what's
you
what's the benefit of that?
Oh,
What would be the benefit of them saying like it's gonna come out this month and then, but the reality is it's coming out later?
to bring up
I
hype.
would think the other way around would be kind of what you would want to do. Like, yeah, it's coming out in September, and then like 2 months before, you're like, nope, just playing. It's coming out in April, or something like that. I don't know. To bring up hype.
I don't.
You think they needed hype for Final Fantasy VII?
No. Like, the fact that we got the announcement at all and it was just like, oh man, it's being made? Fuck yeah. All right. That's all the hype we need. And then just it's the trailers that do it.
Mhm.
It's the different story aspects of like, oh, I remember this, I remember that. Like, that's the hype. But when you're like, we gotta push it back 1 month, and everybody's like, oh, what the you get like 2 reactions. You get, fuck this shit, we shouldn't have pushbacks, or you get the, okay, I can wait another month. Like, you get a divide right there, and one side or more or like less so of the people that are just like, oh, fuck this shit, I'm not pre-ordering anymore or whatever, or I'm not getting your game. You get less of that.
Yeah.
But you still get it. It's like, I don't think it's like to revamp the hype.
Yeah. Well, regardless, I still think if it's gonna make the game better, fine. I think this is a good thing, because I'd rather have a better, a more polished game than Fallout 76.
Yeah, that hot garbage of a game.
Man, and Fallout
Like what
76.
Miyamoto said from Nintendo. He's like, it's best to be, it's better to have like a late but a more finished game than something like that. I forgot his exact quote, but
It's probably just better to have the game be more polished, right? Like, give it more time so it can be more polished.
Be late and be more polished or something like that.
Yeah.
Than to come out with a broken game.
Like
Yeah.
Anthem.
Yeah. Except Anthem was only was a 5-year planned game that was only worked on for 8 months.
That sounds like a them problem.
Sounds
Man,
like an
nobody
EA
mentioned
problem.
the fact that that Avengers got delayed too.
Nobody want that bootleg ass game.
Wow.
First of all, first
How
of
is that
all,
a bootleg ass game?
because first of all, they're trying to get the artist rendition of the superheroes to be not
Not look
like the movie version, which
the
is
movie ones, yeah.
yeah, and that's the thing. If you
But
have
the movie versions are not the original versions.
no, it's not. But that's what people are most resonated with within the last 7 years. Am I right?
Yeah, I'd have to kind of agree with that. I think it's like it'd be like if somebody released a Harry Potter game and he looked nothing like Harry Potter from the movie. It's like, yeah, he might not have looked like that exactly originally, but it's like that's kind of the Harry Potter we know at this point.
Yeah. Or I just don't think like if you're gonna go through the Marvel route, that you have to understand there's movies and shit that's connected to this franchise, and you just can't have no random people being these superheroes when you got like Robert Downey Jr. as Iron Man, and then you got the Hulk, and then you got Thanos. All those actors, they should at least I don't think they had enough money to buy their likeness or something.
Yeah, almost guarantee.
They need the money then.
So, I want to bring up something about that. And remember Marvel's Spider-Man on PS4? That Peter Parker did not look like the one that we had in the theaters.
I don't play that.
I would just say this though. Honestly, like Peter, like Spider-Man, I think is one of those characters that like you've seen enough of him in different
Mediums
with different
or-
looks that there's no real kind of like this is Spider-Man. Like we've seen like 6 or 5, at least 4 or 5 Spider-Man. Even
Tobey
like within
Maguire,
our
Andrew
lifetimes.
Garfield.
Who was Andrew Garfield the last young one?
You mean the current one?
No, not the
No.
current one. I don't remember his name. I don't remember any of their names. But like the other one, like right before, who was right before him? Was that Andrew Garfield?
I don't
after
know.
Toby.
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
there was like a young kid that had kind of like spiky hair and I think
Spiky
Oh,
hair.
I know what you're talking about.
I think that he was I swear he was in like one Spider-Man movie. And then they like switched again.
Yeah, there was like a very short run of like 2 different Spider-Man movies right before the current MCU.
Yeah, that was Andrew Garfield.
That's what I said. I didn't know
That
if it
was
was him or not.
like his Spider-Man is like the comic book Spider-Man. It followed that exact formula.
Yeah, but I guess what I'm just saying though is like we've seen enough different people play him that I don't think there is a quintessential Spider-Man right now. There's like one Iron Man, one like Black Widow. Like we've only seen one for like years now. But Spider-Man, we've seen like a bunch of them. It'd be like if we said there was a certain person who was Batman. Like we've seen Batman in like 4. Actually, we just talked about this. I think when I think Robert Pattinson's supposed to play Batman, right?
Yeah.
I think he's number 6. He's like number. So it's like once you get that to that kind of thing where you keep switching, I think it's a little bit different. Like it doesn't matter who plays them at that point because you already don't think of one person as just
Like we had
playing
like
this
8
character.
different Jokers since like the 80s.
Yeah, it's like who's Joker? It's like to me, regardless of what you say, the cartoon Joker, like in Batman animated series, is Joker. But whoever plays him, I don't really care at this point.
I still don't think it's fair to say that it's just like, oh, it's a bootleg Marvel Avengers game. I still don't think so because like because like when you start or when the MCU started like with Iron Man, like everybody that had watched Iron Man or just like know of comics in general, like they know that like comics go through either different universes, reboots, or different looks. Like
Of course.
Well, I mean, that's
Like,
what DC is well known for. They actually have a multiverse.
right.
So you going to get the game? So you going to get the game, Zeldrick?
I mean, eventually. Actually, you know what? I will take that back. I want to see more of this game.
Okay.
Like, I'm just interested in it because it is Marvel, and from what I saw of the trailer and like and the different characters, not like your typical Iron Man and Spider-Man and whoever the fuck, like, because there's other characters that we didn't see in this MCU and in another character that is just like, not in the limelight of what everybody knows for Marvel. Like, I want to see those other characters too, and that's why I'm interested.
I will, in a way, like, just to play a little devil's advocate, like, it does, in a way, kind of feel a little bootleg because you're not seeing the people who have been known as the Avengers for, like, however many years it's been. So even though I know the Avengers are bigger than, like, those people, it's kind of weird that, like, you get this, like, Marvel-branded Avengers game where, like, you don't see anybody you're used to seeing.
Well, are you talking about like the actual faces of the Avengers, or
well, I guess
other
no. Actually, no.
heroes?
Now that I think about it, my bad. So they're still in there, right? They're just not the same actors.
The Avengers, like the core group of Avengers, is in there.
They are. They're just not the actors. That's right. Okay, never mind.
Right.
I'll take that back.
So, we just have more of a group that is like, oh yeah, like you're an Avenger too, guy that uses a jump rope for a weapon, like that sort of shit. Like we have more of a fucking like playing field for how many
uses a jump rope as a weapon.
Well, like, haven't you ever heard that joke where it's just like, oh, like you shoot a bow and arrow. Oh, like what do you do? It's just like, oh, I do backflips. Got it. You're hired. Like, like anybody can just be an Avenger.
Did they just recently say Squirrel Girl is in there too? I'm pretty sure she's in there, which I think she's just kind of like an ongoing joke. Yeah.
Oh, I didn't hear about that.
Yeah.
I didn't hear about Squirrel Girl.
Pretty sure, like, or maybe people just said she should be in there or something. But I thought, like, for some reason, I feel like they might have said she was in there.
The last thing I heard about this game before, like, that it was pushed back was that it was a girl that, like, her fists, like, grow really big when she punches people. Like,
oh yeah, I mean that's the one we saw gameplay of, right?
Yeah.
We talked about it on here. Yeah.
Yeah. But like I don't think anybody should be calling this like bootleg Marvel Avengers or whatever.
Oh, you sounded offended when I said that. Oh, I'm sorry, but I'm not gonna change what I said. To me, if it's a bootleg Marvel Avengers game, so be it. You know what I mean?
I
think
mean,
for me
that's
more-
somebody that has only paid attention to movie version of superheroes
Oh,
and
no,
like
no, 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 no.
nothing else.
Oh no. Oh, excuse me. I am familiar with like a little bit of comic books. I know about the comic books before the movies ever came out. I'm not a young whippersnapper, so I know my way around a comic book store. But what I'm trying to understand, trying to let people understand is like the newer generation are more connected to the movie characters of Marvel, and I think that if they want that game to be successful, they should get some more money and buy some of their likeness.
Here's another like few $1 billion to pay for the likeness of like 10 actors. Go for it. Yeah, I don't think that's gonna ever happen.
Then
in
I don't think
any
that
medium.
game, and I don't think that game's going to be successful. Then
I mean, if they make Wolverine wear the yellow mask with the blue with the black wings over his eyes and
That could be
his yellow
anybody.
shirt
That
with his
Could be
blue
anybody.
gloves,
Yes.
I'm all for that.
but we're talking about Captain America. We're talking about Black Widow. We're talking about Iron Man when before he has to take off his mask, his helmet and stuff like that. So I'm just saying, that I don't care about that game being delayed at all because it wasn't even in my radar. I wasn't even gonna dip my toe in that. So
Yeah, I'm gonna honestly say like that game is not like in my radar either.
So the one thing I would
I
add
want
on
to
to what
call
you
it
were
a
saying,
bootleg, but that's not
Sure.
me.
Sure. The one thing I would add on what you were saying, Lady Infamous, though, is like, I don't think it's gonna fail just off of that merit. What I would say is like, if it's like, let's say it's just a phenomenal game in terms of gameplay, I can almost guarantee you'll forget. Like even though it's not like Robert Downey Jr. that you're seeing, if it just plays like amazingly, it'll probably be good. So I would imagine that really the issue isn't that it's gonna fail just because they don't have it, but more so like I feel like they're gonna have to put a little bit of extra oomph into that game to make people forget the fact that it's not them.
I agree.
Yeah.
I completely agree. Agree.
And I want to bring this about like likeness on like a different game that came out, Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3 that was on the Switch.
Mm-hmm.
Like that, I don't know if that was like a complete, like it wasn't like gangbusters success, but I think it did well ish. The DLC sucks, but like the thing is what they got away with it is that like none of the characters got out of costume. Like they were all in costume. They all looked like their original looks in the costumes, and none of the magic is ruined, is how you put it, because they are in what we know and what we like, or what we know from them when we've seen them in action.
Sure.
But like when it comes to this one, and a new Avengers game that got pushed back, like
I also think,
UA3 is like, what do you call it? It's from like the comic book.
That's
version.
what I was gonna say. That's the other thing they have going for them is like the problem with this game is they're trying to make them look like real people as compared to something where you're trying to make them look like characters that came out of the comics. They could be anybody in a comic, but like if you have somebody who's supposed to look like a actual human person, and that's kind of where it might be a little bit weird for some people.
And yeah, that's where the pushback that you're experiencing, Lady Infamous, like, because they're trying to make a game where like these are real people with real problems, and if they don't look like what everybody knows, as opposed to like Ultimate Alliance, like they're just in this in all the comic book action scenes with there's fancy suits or whatever, like they're just the character portrayals and like nothing else. It's all action and nothing else. So but I still want this on my radar. I want to know what it turns out like, kind of like how Dragon Ball Kakarot, like how that turned out, because like I'm genuinely interested in it. That just got released this week, the other day, and
which is a good segue into this game.
Yeah, like we've been talking about it in the Discord, and like
the funniest freaking bugs in that game where
Does it have a bunch
everybody
of
just
bugs? I
starts
didn't even see
sliding away.
it's pretty funny, but like I've been enjoying watching it, and I guess T, you've had this problem where it's just the same story like over and over again, and I know how this plays out. It's not exciting for me, but I guess that's how I'm enjoying it. I'm enjoying like, oh, it's just like how I remember it. It's playing out, and I'm having a ball watching it. So I don't know what we were going to go into with this.
Well, so here's the thing I wanted to say about this, because we did kind of talk about this a little bit. So I mentioned before that I played all those Naruto Ultimate Ninja Storm games, right?
Yeah.
And that's like, I haven't finished like the entire Naruto series, but like at the time that I played all the games, I haven't played a game yet where I hadn't already seen what was happening in the anime. So it's, in a way, it's kind of similar to what happens with Dragon Ball Z, where you kind of get the same story. Definitely, I think the first 3 Ultimate Ninja Storms are like basically the exact same story. I think so. I don't remember correctly. I think 4 was Shippuden, so that was a little bit different. But anyways, the reason I wanted to bring it up is like, the one thing I will say is that like for those games, I know the reason why I enjoyed them is not necessarily just because of like that it was supposed to be a new story, but more so that like they did a great job of like, in terms of like, you know, the interactive scenes and the action and the gameplay and stuff like that, of kind of recreating the energy and like the excitement of like the story when you watched it in the anime.
Mm-hmm.
And from what I've been seeing, it seems like people are kind of feeling that same thing about Dragon Ball, in the sense that they're like, you know, it kind of, in a way, when you're playing it, it kind of feels like you're playing an episode of the show.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I just get really worried about like the gameplay of it just feeling exciting. And I don't know. Do you feel like when you watch gameplay of it, it feels exciting, or is it more so? So to give you an example real quick, in Naruto, like you'd be fighting your opponent or whatever, and then all of a sudden a cutscene would kick in, and it might have like QTEs and stuff like that you did in between, but there would be like big action and crazy camera angles and all that kind of stuff happening, and then you'd have to hit a button, and then it would keep progressing and stuff like that. Is it kind of like that too? Have you seen anything like that with the bigger
as much as I've
fight?
seen it, no, it does not have that same sort of sparkle to the battles and stuff.
Okay. So what do you think, like, when you watch the fights, do they feel like exciting?
They only feel a little bit exciting with dodging. Otherwise, like, because I have no idea. I see like buttons on the left of like what you press, and I see one button for fight, one button for key blast, and then switch a page for items, and then there's one for transformation. Like,
so when you say dodge, are you talking about like teleporting?
Yeah, after image
okay,
teleporting,
gotcha.
and then dashing in to get into hits. Like, it doesn't have those fine touches that Naruto has, from what I've seen. And that's actually the one thing that had me worried about the gameplay aspect that we had already talked about, which is, what is the combat like? And just from that menu right there, I'm seeing one button for fight, and it's like, oh, I'm gonna press one button to keep punching.
Yeah.
And that is exactly what I didn't want. And what everybody didn't want, because that's what we've experienced with past Dragon Ball games. However, watching it is a completely different, it's kind of a different story. I was going to say completely, but that's what I usually say. No, it's a kind of a different story, because I kind of like watching it. I like watching the gameplay aspects. And I'm sure that because it seems like it has no depth in gameplay mechanics, except for like pick your types of like special moves, and then like I guess there's a charge your key and like a transformation. Like other than that, there's kind of like no other depth to it. And what I was hoping for was, you have your light punch and heavy attack, and you can mix those up to make different combos, kind of like in Devil May Cry 5 or God of War or something like that. Well, God of War, the original God of War is from, what I remember.
Sure.
But it doesn't seem like it has that. So, um, that's what it took for me to go to the conclusion of maybe I shouldn't get this because I'm having more fun watching it.
And that's kind of like why I brought up Jump Force as an example, where like to me it's the same exact thing where it kind of feels like it's kind of interesting to watch, but it doesn't look like it's that much fun to play. I don't know,
Right.
Lady, you could speak on that because I only played Jump Force in the beta, but I know you played it for a while.
Yeah, I played it for a while. What about it?
No,
That story mode is trash.
Well, no, what I was saying is like what I was worried about with Dragon Ball Kakarot was that in the end it wasn't really going to be that fun to play because it doesn't really feel like that. I don't know. It doesn't feel that deep. It doesn't feel like there's that much to actually do in it, or like it doesn't look like there's that much you can do strategically. Like that's one of the things I kind of like about Naruto is it feels like you have options in terms of like making the battle interesting, whether it be like, you know, similar kind of counters like with Dragon Ball where you teleport out the way, you can use like items, you have like different abilities, jutsu or whatever. There's like running on walls, running on water. There's like dashes. There's like all kinds of stuff you could do to kind of mix things up. And that's what I feel like it kind of tends to be missing from Dragon Ball. It tends to be like mash punch to fight. Then there's a ki blast. You can charge. There's a dodge, and you can fly. And that almost always seems like the mechanics in every single one of them. And I don't know. It just kind of reminds me of Jump Force. I don't. What do you think of the gameplay of Jump Force? Like, how do you think you would have if you had to describe it? How do you think you would describe it?
Game of the year.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, that 2019 Game of the Year, Jump Force.
the most important part about Jump Force is with the fighting mechanics, you have to level up, and acquire some items to get new moves. And
do you have a bunch of moves you can use?
Yeah, there's a couple.
I don't know. I'm asking.
There's a couple, but usually I use specifically for my own character. But there's other special moves for other characters in the game, like.
But I mean, like for an individual character, at any given point in time, how many moves do you think you have access to?
Probably 4.
Okay, yeah.
4 like special moves. Each level, like each has more damage more than the last one.
And then is it like with regular attacks? Is it just kind of like pressing one button? Then, other than that,
like 1 or 2 buttons, like AA or X, Y, or something like that.
Oh, so you do have... Okay, so maybe it's a little bit more... It has a little bit more depth than, like, Dragon Ball then. Because, yeah, the Dragon Ball thing looks like it only has, like, 1. Like, I would expect them to at least have, like, a heavy attack, but it looks like it's more just, like, there's a punch. And you just, like, keep hitting punch to attack. So, I don't know.
I think why it's, for me, a little bit more interesting than previous Dragon Ball games, besides fighters... Like, why it's a little bit more interesting to watch is because, like, you can do your punching and just keep pressing one button. However, like, there is a timing with dodging something, and if you do, then, like...
It looks pretty cool.
It just looks cool.
Yeah.
So, that's why it's a little bit more interesting to watch the gameplay of it than like, previous Dragon Ball games.
Yeah. And I'll just mention this, like this just to be, I'm also very biased, I think, because it kind of reminds me of like, the, what is it? The Dark Knight Rises, where like, is that the second Batman movie? Which one was the second one?
Batman Returns.
No.
Sorry, the one in the 3 with Christian Bale.
Oh, never mind.
Is it the Dark Knight Rises?
It was just the Dark Knight.
Oh, it's a Dark Knight. Okay. It kind of reminds me of that in the sense that, like, Dragon Ball Fighters spoiled the shit out of me in terms of, like, Dragon Ball games. Because now I'm just like, when I look at that, I'm like, that's what I imagine Dragon Ball, fighting should look like. Even though, like, obviously, it's like, that's hard to execute on. What's that?
You mean, like, you hit that's, like, the new baseline standard?
Well, just in terms, yeah. Obviously, it's, like, impossible to hit that mark on anything other than a fighting game. Because that... You know, they basically built it to be mechanically a fighter, but it's just like that tempo and like that big action to me is like how if you asked a little kid to describe like what they just saw in an episode of Dragon Ball, I think that game looks like what they would describe.
Right.
You know what I mean? So like, to bring it back to the other thing I was saying, it was just like, so I think that game kind of spoiled me in the sense that like the same way that like a lot of people say that Heath Ledger Joker spoiled him. It's kind of like that's your Joker at this point, and it's like everything you watch is you're just kind of comparing to that one. And so I might be kind of broken a little bit in terms of Dragon Ball games. So arguably, like I might not even be the right person to listen to in terms of whether or not you would like this game.
Don't worry,
It's
gonna go on Game Pass.
Yeah, I'll play it. I'll play it when it goes on Game Pass. But I actually did want to bring that up because of like Zeldrick, just so we could like roll right into what you just brought up. Like the whole Joker thing, yeah.
Right. Well, the last bit I will say with the Kakarot is that like I really feel like that if they just added like a light and a heavy, and then
it would change a lot.
And like added a combo system, like different combos or whatever, and that sort of thing, like and a move list for that sort of shit. I think it would have been a lot more interesting. I feel like I would have a lot more interested in playing it. But this week, we also got 2 trailers for fighting games. One was the Joker for MK11.
Did y'all see this, dude?
I watched this.
I really wasn't digging the Joker.
Oh, that dude is hilarious. I love it.
But here's the thing, like this gameplay trailer of the Joker for MK11, like how interested did it look for you, LadyInfamous? Because you're the MK11 player here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's like, meh.
Meh.
Okay, so
I'm more excited for Sindel than Joker.
Okay, so then I will say, because I don't really play fighting games, but this trailer for the Joker, it looks super cool. Like just visually, it's really, really cool. And he has all of his wackiness, like from what you know of before Heath Ledger Joker.
It's more like Mark Hamill's Joker, right?
Kind of more
definitely
towards
look
that
and stuff like that.
Yeah, it's more goofy, and like to like ramp up or to put it like into perspective for like the goofiness. There's a move where he's like sets out from behind him a guy that's all strapped up with a bomb on him and a bag over his head, jumping forward to get to the opponent, and it blows up on them. Like this is the goofy Joker. Then the goofy Joker with the the spring boxing gloves on his hands.
I love that move, dude.
Yeah.
That's hilarious.
And it's just visually so interesting.
Little Batman puppet with a gun that comes out of his mouth. Yeah.
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 And it makes voices of like, it pretends to be the Batman with his deep voice, like as he holds the puppet. Like this is the Joker. This is the Joker we all grew up with and what we know. And like, and just you add that to the Mortal Kombat sort of gameplay and like the all blood and gore and sort of shit. Like it's really, really good. They did a really good job on the Joker for this. And I just hope that the way he plays is interesting, because we've kind of had this divide with Mortal Kombat as like people either liked it or people don't like it because they changed the way that Mortal Kombat played. So I'm excited to see where this goes to, because like, this sets a bar for me anyways for visuals, Mortal Kombat, because like it's Warner Brothers, of course, and their visuals just got ramped up to 11, no pun intended, for like the way that fighting games are supposed to look, or are going to look.
How Warner Brothers is just like doing super well in the video game industry.
Yeah. Huh?
No, I was gonna say I just got a quick question. So like I think in terms of fighting game characters, and actually it'll be applicable with the next character too. I'm always like a fan of unique, like people who like their style is just like super distinct from like any other character that you can like find. Not any other character, but you know, just distinct. It stands out from like other characters. So I'm curious if LadyInfamous, like when you say you're more interested in Sindel than you are, for example, in the Joker, is that because like you kind of want more traditional Mortal Kombat characters, or is it something specific about the Joker that you're not into, or like what do you think it is?
Specifically traditional Mortal Kombat characters.
But I thought like one of your favorite characters from the last game was like the alien.
I know, but okay, I'm gonna tell you what happened with Alien. Okay, before I was playing with Alien, I was playing with Scorpion, and then my fighting coach. I told my fighting coach, I was like, look, I can't keep playing with Scorpion, so pick one for me. Pick a player for me in Mortal Kombat 10, and I'll study it. I'll study that character. So he gave me Alien. I was like, why Alien? He was like, oh, because of the splash damage and stuff like that. So, yes, that's a small.
Oh, so it wasn't like personal choice necessarily?
No.
Oh, okay, got you.
Yeah. Because I really didn't know who I wanted to play with. And since my fighting coach was like, he knows how to play fighters all the time, I was like, just pick one for me. And that's what he picked for me.
So, I mean, are you not like a big fan of like the kind of cross-pollination of like different, Mortal Kombat, or not Mortal Kombat, but like fighting games and like characters from other places?
I'm open to it because the Terminator looks good on Mortal Kombat. I just got my ass whooped by Noctis from Tekken 7. So I'm open to mashups with different games. I just think I think Injustice Joker to me was a little bit better than Mortal Kombat 11 Joker.
Okay. But like I think when it comes to just fighting games in general, it having or like DLC characters or extra characters. Or this is in general for the roster, like having each one be a unique playstyle, is I think that is what makes a really good, one of the ways it makes a really good fighting game. And that goes into the other two fighting game announcements. One being Faust this is the second trailer for Faust and Guilty Gear Strive. Yeah. I don't know how much you guys are invested with Guilty Gear. I wanted to get invested into Guilty Gear XR, but like dude. It's fucking hard. But like Faust is like is it Faust or Faust?
Faust, yeah. Honestly, like just real quick, I think he's one of the best designed characters in fighting games. I love this freaking character.
Yeah, he's like, I guess this goes into like with the Joker. Like Faust is really goofy, like
he's super goofy.
Yeah, and when it comes to Guilty Gear, like, I think that with Guilty Gear, every character has their own gimmick and they have their own like play style. However, you can kind of like make some similarities between this one and that one, or this one and that one. Faust is a completely different monster. Like his is just like setups and item. Well, some of the setups he has in this trailer, it kind of goes with Jacko from Xrd, but like this is a really good design for Faust. But I think that's because they are. Am I wrong that they are rebooting Guilty Gear? Or,
yeah, it's kind of a reboot, yeah.
Yeah. So like the fact that he's not a full-on like, doctor with PhD, he looks like he is
a nurse more than anything.
Yeah. Like he's a nurse.
Yeah.
Like I think that's really cool, and it's fitting for someone for like, having a reboot and like starting from the ground up. So like this is what he was like when as like just joining the hospital.
Doctor. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it looks so cool, dude.
And I want this to be. I want to get Guilty Gear. I want to be into Guilty Gear. It's just Xrd is like not a good entryway for any person that wants to get into fighting games because it's super difficult. It's a high learning curve.
But I did hear that this one they're trying to make it a little bit more like a little bit easier to get into at the beginning.
Yeah, and we've gotten into this trend with fighting games now where they're focusing on neutral play, and that's what it looks like with Guilty Gear Strive. So neutral is when you and your opponent are not going at each other. So like footsies, like going like in and out of each other, going sort of like trying to get in the hit or whatever. Neutral play.
Yeah.
And one of the mechanics for this is Roman cancel. In Strive, the Roman cancel is different, where like if you catch someone's Roman cancel and you do it too to catch the Roman cancel, you both bounce off of each other and you go back to neutral.
Yeah.
Like and kind of okay. So I think Street Fighter 5 is a good example of neutral, or should it be
like
MK11?
I'd probably give him more Street Fighter 5.
Yeah. So Street Fighter is more of like neutral play. Street Fighter 5, anyways.
Yeah.
So, I guess just move on through with these announcements. Byleth was announced for Super Smash Brothers Ultimate.
Wait, okay, I missed this. Who is that? Who's Byleth?
From what do you call it? Fire Emblem.
So
I don't know Fire Emblem.
I'm like, Jesus, there's more Fire Emblem characters. I was like, do we have enough Fire Emblem characters?
So here's the thing. Everybody's argument, both like that side, I get it. There's too many Fire Emblem characters. However, Fire Emblem Three Houses is where he comes from. And while Sakurai and Nintendo, like they had made this decision with all these characters before the Fighter Pass even came out, like the first character came out, they already made the decision of who's going to be in the Fighter Pass. Like,
yeah, I think the ordering is kind of weird though. I feel like Terry should have been last.
If Terry was last, that would have been so cool.
Yeah, it would have been super hype. Like, did you actually watch this video and did you actually see the reaction at the Nintendo store? Everybody was just like,
I did not. Right, because it's another Fire Emblem character. However, the other trend, like with all these characters that we've seen, he's a different play style. And that's what Sakurai specifically states, is that when it came to these DLC characters, or hell, for more than half the roster already, is that having a very diverse playstyle with the roster it reinvigorates the game. Or it makes the game more interesting, as well as like having all these characters.
Yeah,
but
I mean, I agree with that.
So like the difference between Byleth and Terry is night and day. The difference between Terry and Banjo and Byleth is they're all night and day. Like they all have different play styles. And so that's why I feel like when Byleth actually comes out, people are going to be more okay with it, because his playstyle is a lot different from all the Fire Emblem characters, like extremely different. So, I don't even have a Switch, and but like just seeing this gameplay video was pretty cool. But like, I guess
the presentation was just kind of like, eh.
I guess so. That I think the presentation was kind of but I think it kind of goes with like that it's another Fire Emblem character. Yeah,
and then pretty soon Fighter Pass Volume 2 has been announced with 6 new characters, all going to be Fire Emblem characters.
Who from Smash is it from in Fire Emblem? Which characters?
So it's Ike, Marth, Roy, Robin. And then I think there's another one that begins with an S that turns into a dragon. Okay. I forget. So that's 5. I think there's another one. I think is it 5 or is it 6 characters? I can't actually name them all. I mean, I'm not.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember this.
I tried to look up the list.
Lucina.
Lucina. Okay.
Wait. Yeah, Lucina. Yeah.
Did I try to look up the list of like all the Fire Emblem characters in Smash Brothers? I literally typed in Smash Bros. Ultimate Fire Emblem characters. And the first article that popped up was 27 Smash Brothers Ultimate DLC characters I want before more Fire Emblem characters.
That's really.
That's funny.
What do you say?
I was just gonna say, like, so again, I don't know these characters because I've never played it. Is Fire Emblem
me neither.
worth
I don't know any of these characters either.
So, Fire Emblem Three Houses is okay. Every single one of these Fire Emblem games is something that is not up your alley, only because they're extremely long.
Oh, okay.
However, Fire Emblem Three Houses did extremely well
Yeah.
because
I think I've
all of
seen
those,
some people play that.
yeah, because all of those characters are really good as far as for social media is concerned. Like it has a very diverse cast of characters, and the story, as far as like for the for how Sakurai put it in the this direct, the story being really well done because you start off picking a house and everybody is friends as a kid, but then now they're three houses and they all have to fight each other and they're now enemies and they don't want to be.
Oh, okay.
So there is a bunch of, it's a story based on sadness of having to fight your friends.
Yeah, and based on what I know about Fire Emblem is, I never played it, but my brother tells me that and what the internet tells me is that it's just like every character has a story to it, and it's permadeath.
Yes. The
Not
later
playing that
games. Well, actually, here's the thing: the later Fire Emblems, they didn't do away with permadeath. They gave an extra option that was your character withdraws or flees from the battle, and you get them when you finish the mission.
Oh, okay.
So like, but the early versions of Fire Emblem, I think it was like the first 3 Fire Emblems, like there was permadeath, and that's kind of like how XCOM was. It's like you got attached to your characters, and
Yeah, except with XCOM, they didn't really have a story to each of those characters.
No. But you created those stories for your characters.
That's interesting. All these characters look like slightly different versions of each other.
Yeah.
They almost all look like the same exact character, except for, male and female. It's different colors and stuff. But it's like, yeah, I guess I didn't even realize how similar they were, like to know that they were all from the same game.
I mean, they're all the same art style. So,
Yeah.
I mean, it's anime
But
character.
I mean, just guy posing with sword, girl posing with sword, like long flowing cape or jacket. It's like kind of similar.
Yeah.
Do you guys think he at least looks fun?
I think he looks fun.
Yeah, I mean, he looks interesting, but I'm like, God, another Fire Emblem character.
Yeah, are you gonna play Smash, Lady Ultimate?
No.
Now that you got your Switch?
No.
Why not?
That's $60.
She ain't on that baby
She said,
shit.
I ain't on that baby shit.
Who cares about Nintendo?
No, I do care about Nintendo. I just don't care about Smash.
Okay.
Have you played it before?
Yes, I played it at the Discord party a couple of times.
No, I mean like
Before then?
we'll say a previous iteration of it.
No.
So we're like, okay. All right. Because I mean, you play it at obviously if you played at like a Discord party or something, that's just like a limited experience with it. I'm wondering if you played a bunch of it and just wasn't really
I'd rather
into it or
play
something
Mario
like
Kart 8 than Smash.
that. Okay. I get it.
Okay. But how many of you wanted to have Dante in this game?
Dante would have been a really cool character to put in here.
Yes, he would.
Yeah,
Does
was
Nintendo own Fire Emblem?
Yeah, I think it's a Nintendo property, right?
Okay.
Yeah, it's a
'cause I was gonna
Nintendo
say maybe
property, but I don't know about the developer.
that would kind of explain why there's so many. Like, I think there's always like the thing of fighting games where it's
I think
like,
they should just keep adding Street Fighter characters and SNK characters, so that way we can just have SNK versus Capcom.
at some point, yeah, it's just
Yeah.
SNK versus Capcom, yeah.
I think though that the reason why that there's so many Fire Emblem characters is because that it's a beloved property for Japan, Nintendo Japan, anyways, or just on the Eastern Front, because you know how if you guys watch the direct, you know how he counted how many of these Fire Emblem games there were.
No.
There's 17 of them.
Okay.
So
I haven't seen 17. I'm sure. Yeah, they must not have most of them must not have come here.
right. So the fact that there's 17 iterations and it's one long drawn out. Well, I don't know about drawn out, but it's one long story and it continues and it persists. From what I gather, that's why I think that it is a beloved property, and it's very well thought of, or highly thought of.
Yeah, but I mean, I also imagine that part of it probably is just like if Nintendo does own the property, then it's something they can easily just add somebody in without having to figure out licensing or whatever the hell they have to do to get one of these characters from another game in there.
I mean, there's a bunch of other games.
Oh yeah, I know. But what I'm saying is, if you're gonna have a property where you're just gonna keep adding people as much as you want to, I imagine it's something where you want to be able to do it without having to pay for it. Even if you do have access, like they could add more Street Fighter characters in there, but like I don't know if they have to pay for that. If they own Fire Emblem, if it's one of Nintendo's IPs or something like that, then they don't have to theoretically pay anything for it. They're just like, oh yeah, put somebody else in there from there.
That's true.
I'm glad they gave them. Did you see the costumes they added?
For
Byleth? Yeah, Cuphead.
Yeah, why did they? I hate the fact that they added Cuphead instead of just adding Cuphead.
Yeah,
I don't like that it's a costume.
Yeah, let's move on to that. Like the costumes that they released for this fighter pack, they're really good, and I think that was another thing that was with the last fighter pack, the fact that Sans was a costume. I think like when it came to Sans, like everybody just flipped their shit and they're like, "Oh my god, I finally got Sans in my game." But like with Cuphead, I think that would have been I don't know about. I would have rather have had Cuphead.
Actually,
I can't
Cuphead
say that.
might have been a shitty character, dude. Like,
Maybe.
I mean,
What would
if
he
all he
have
did
done
was
other
shoot
than
at you,
shoot?
then that would have been horrible. Like, you just get zoned in a Smash game.
Right.
That'd be horrible.
But I am glad that they made Cuphead a costume, like very unique costume for Smash. It's really cool. Then they also added Altair from Assassin's Creed, which came out of left field, along with Rabbids that came out of left field.
I didn't know Assassin's Creed was on Nintendo.
Yeah, there have been Assassin's Creed games on Nintendo.
Oh wait, that was on DS. Yeah.
Well, other than that, they ported a couple of the mainline Assassin's Creed games for the Switch, and I believe the Wii U or Wii, I forget. But I know that there is at least a couple on the Switch.
And they should have just added him as a character then, because he has a huge arsenal of stuff.
I think, but then like everybody would have been mad and they'd be like, "Oh man, but why not Ezio?"
I'd have been mad.
Could have been an Echo Fighter.
That's true, but like they're not doing Echo Fighters of DLC characters.
Really? I thought Byleth is male and female.
That's not an Echo Fighter.
Really? It's not? Oh, I thought it was.
So, like, Byleth as, like, when you change costumes, can either be male or female, but it's not an Echo character. An Echo character is another slot in the character select screen where some of their moves are kind of different. And they have different properties. That's why Samus and Dark Samus are different. That's why Ken and... No, Ryu and Ken are not Echo Fighters of each other.
No, they're just different characters, yeah.
Yeah. Fuck, I can't remember
Castlevania characters.
Yeah. Simon and whoever the other fucking Belmont was. So yeah, that's what is considered an Echo character. Ezio could have been a different costume, I guess, but that would have been a lot of work because that's like more that's a different kind of a different costume. But I think Altair or Ezio would have been a really good character for this.
That's actually. I just want to say something really interesting. Did you guys see how much these costumes cost?
No.
$5. No, 75 cents.
75 cents each.
Yeah.
I'm actually not mad at that.
Yeah.
I'm like, because I'm used to costume. Like somebody say, here's the costume pack for like, $5.99 for like 3 costumes or something like that. I'm not mad at that. Like $4.25 for like 5 costumes that are like actually kind of cool costumes. I don't know about Rabbids. I don't care about Rabbids, but
Right.
yeah.
Nobody cares about Rabbids. I think it's been proven for a decade that nobody cares about Rabbids ever at all. and is the worst abomination to ever be created.
I just don't trying to figure out what they're gonna do on the character selection screen, because pretty soon that screen is gonna be 2 by 2
too
pixels
big.
by freaking like just to select.
There's
select
like
a
100 characters in there. Yeah.
Yeah.
This character selection screen has more character. It's gonna eventually have more character than League of Legends.
I hope
Is it
so.
not there yet?
No, League of Legends has like 114 characters. Or
Oh,
something
well,
like
yeah.
that.
I think Smash is probably aren't they only at like 70 something or something like that?
Yes, I mean, yeah, like mid 70s.
Yeah, yeah. So they still got a long way to go.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that was a cool announcement for like Smash. I don't know about whatever his name is, Byleth or whatever.
Yeah.
I guess that's like up to whether or not you enjoy that series, but I kind of like
League
the
of Legends
costumes.
has 148 characters.
Yeah, they got a ways to go.
Yeah. They're halfway there.
That's nuts.
I see. Again, like I saw that it was like, oh, it's Fire Emblem. I was like, oh, okay. Well, I can see that this is 3 houses, and that's a good reason why to pick Byleth, because it did so well. Or, you know, I mean, they were picked I don't know when 3 Houses came out. It came out after Smash came out, right? I'm pretty sure. Yeah, I think so.
I thought 3 Houses came out like last year, right?
At any rate, like,
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it did.
I think this is still like, just because of how much of a success 3 Houses was, I still think that this is kind of a good pick because everybody liked 3 Houses.
Mhm.
So
I also think that they're not going to put Dante in this game, because this game is meant for good boys and girls.
Think so?
you didn't see the goofy as fuck video?
Oh, I didn't.
that
I missed
posted?
this. What happened?
Okay, so oh wait, it was in my Discord. So I posted a Twitter video that was the cutscene in Devil May Cry 4 between one of the bad guys of the church and Dante, and they're playing out a play. Like they're reading lines like it's Shakespeare. Well, not in like old English, but like it's goofy as fuck. So, like the quote is like, please don't put Dante in Smash. The last thing we need is an edgy sword guy. And it's just Dante being a goofball.
Yeah.
Like, he doesn't, like, did you play Devil May Cry 5, Sharpie? Like, he's silly.
Wait, am I
Like,
the only one that hasn't? I'm the only one that hasn't, then.
yeah, you're the only one that hasn't.
Ah, I haven't done it.
It's not super long. It's actually short.
Like, how, 10 hours?
But yet, you know how
much.
they said like they're not putting Mai in there, but they put Bayonetta in there. I just don't get that.
Yeah,
because
but you don't.
Mai has one costume.
Yeah, I was gonna say you don't really get like the sort of Bayonetta that you get in the game, right? Like where it's like you see clothes coming, like kind of implied to be coming off and all that kind of stuff. You don't really get that in Smash, right?
Yeah, I know,
don't-
but then
The
you
way
know,
you
like
see it
she
in the
kind of
original game.
represents like a sexual character.
Yeah, of course,
Yeah.
But Mai, you know what Mai is gonna look like if they put her in there. There's no representing a sexual character. She's going to be a sexual character.
Just her idle animation is
Yeah,
too much.
exactly.
If you have a character where her idle animation
Her breasts
bumps
just
up
swinging.
that rating to yeah, like it. No, that's not. It's for good boys and girls. That's what Smash is for.
That's funny. I got a quick one.
Yeah.
Anybody excited about I think this week Kingdom Hearts DLC comes out?
Man,
Did you play it?
no, I don't know. No, I don't play Kingdom Hearts.
So wait, so what's the man? Oh, just not excited?
Yeah, not excited.
Oh, I thought you were just saying like you was sad that you was missing it or something. Like, man.
No, no,
I'm gonna
Wait,
have
why
to
don't you like
skip
Kingdom
that
Hearts?
game but even though I want to play it.
no. I'm not playing Kingdom Hearts. That
Yeah,
sugar,
why don't you like Kingdom Hearts?
I can taste the sweetness and the sugar and the no, it's too kiddie for me.
Okay, I get that. Yeah, I mean, I don't know about 3, but I remember 1 and 2. I played 1 and 2, and they were a little bit kid cheesy, but they were good games.
Yeah.
They were good games.
Did you play it though? Did you finish a game?
I finished 1 and 2. I think the only one that's played 3 right now is Zeldrick.
I'd rather play Bloodborne than Kingdom Hearts.
But you like Disney
You picked
movies,
the most
right?
opposite games in the world. Like, I'd rather play this one than this one.
I like Disney
That's funny.
movies.
I thought you was
Do you
gonna
like
say something
playing
similar.
Disney movies?
I haven't played a Disney movie. I don't think. I'm trying to.
Do you
remember.
like
I'm trying.
Do you like Japanese RPGs?
Not really.
All right,
Really? You don't?
my argument's gone.
Not the last JRPG I played.
Was Final Fantasy 13.
Final Fantasy 15, but 13, yeah,
I was gonna say you play 15, right?
yeah. That was it. That was it. 13 and 15.
Yeah, all right.
Golden Sun. I love that game, but it's not on Nintendo yet.
Wait,
We're
Golden
not
Sun
getting...
is a Nintendo game.
But not on the Switch. It ain't on the Switch store. That's what I meant.
Oh, yeah.
Golden Sun. I don't remember that.
Oh, man, it's a good
That was a
it's,
Game Boy Advance game.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I never had a Game Boy Advance.
Oh.
Yeah, me neither.
It's gonna be a cold day in hell when we see Golden Sun on the Switch, like ported back like Game Boy Advance
To 2001.
on the Switch. Yeah, well, it's more like Game Boy Advance games on the Switch. Like that's not a thing yet,
Oh, really?
or it won't be. I don't know. It's only like Nintendo or like NES, Super NES, and I think that's it.
Okay.
But well, what was the Kingdom Hearts? Yeah, I saw the trailer and I was like, fuck. I'm gonna have to.
So I didn't watch
rent
the
it or
trailer.
something.
What does it look like they added?
Story
is there a certain-
elements.
But
It's
is it
more
like any new level or anything like that?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Like,
who's the new
not-
who's the new one?
You so the thing is like, oh, did they add a new world? And it's like, no, they didn't do that.
That's what I meant. Did they add a new world? Okay, gotcha.
No, they didn't. It's just that there are characters that the story and characters that are being played out that didn't get screen time or didn't get enough screen time, and it's not like here's what happened in between. It's like it's what happened, I think it's after the fact, and whatever the case may be, it's adding plot and it's adding story elements to it, and there's these different character connections between them. And it also, no, it is it's afterwards, I believe. There are just a lot of like Kingdom Hearts, if you didn't like play like the 9 fucking games, like you don't have a reference to go back to, and that's what sucks about this series. But like there's a couple, I think it's like it's going to answer a couple of questions, but it's also going to then ask more questions as far as for what's going on. But the fact that they extend upon the story afterwards, or to further lead into the next saga of Kingdom Hearts, that's the draw for it, for myself anyways. Because before I was like, man, I just want to wash my hands of Kingdom Hearts 3. I'm done. Like, this saga's just off the table. And then it's just like, yeah, but there's extra story though. Nah, they didn't add a different world or anything like that. So,
Got you.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to bring up one last thing.
Yeah.
Because it's just something that I saw recently. So apparently, like, if you guys look at the trailer that I sent, it's for a
The Stadia game.
Yeah, the Stadia game Guilt. Have you guys seen that before?
No.
Yeah, when they announced it.
Yeah. So I guess that's the it's from Tequila Works. So the reason I brought that up is because that, I guess, is one of 10 games that that are going to be, Stadia is actually getting some timed exclusives in 2020
Mm-hmm.
that they announced, and this is going to be one of them. But apparently there's going to be 10 of them, so it seems like it hasn't quite fallen off the map quite yet.
Not quite yet. Not yet.
And they said that I guess there's going to be sometime in the beginning of the year, like the first 3 months, they're going to have support for like playing in 4K on the web and wireless gameplay on the web. So
You should play this game.
I still don't know
I'm gonna
why
play it. Definitely gonna play it.
people
but,
care about playing games on 4K.
It looks great. Like I played basically all of my PS4 games that were compatible. I played in 4K.
I've watched what was it, Infamous Second Son. I
Yeah.
watched that on the PlayStation Pro in 4K, and that shit's beautiful.
Yeah, what makes you confused about why people care about 4K?
I mean, like, I think we talked about this last week. It's like, do we really care about 4K or 8K?
I don't. I personally don't because I don't have that.
Oh,
equipment
well,
to have
yeah.
it. Yeah.
The thing is, like, I think it's
But that's different.
it's a little bit different for games because there are games that are available to play in 4K. I think the when we were talking last week, it was more so like most of the content that you see on like a normal TV, like for the general viewing audience, isn't in 4K, so it doesn't matter.
Right.
But I think like it's a little bit different because you can actually get PC games to look significantly better if you play them in 4K. As long as your rig can handle it.
No,
or you have
the
right
thing is
console or
that
whatever.
what we call it, I watched a video on this by, I forgot who it was, but he said like, you think you can tell the difference? And then he showed like an intro, right? It was like saying, now was that in 4K 1080 or was that in 720? And he's like, it was actually all of it. It's just different cuts was, different resolutions. And he's like, this was 720, this one was 1080. Like it was like a sequence of events that happened throughout the in this like 30-second video. And then like he explained it. It was like saying, yeah, I bet you couldn't tell the difference. And I was like, you're right.
But is that
couldn't tell the